We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Got us a little bit of an echo.
Chair Van Easteen,
Present.
Vice Chair Dimmitt,
Present.
Commissioner Boffman,
Present.
Commissioner Custer,
Present.
Commissioner Retberg, and Commissioner Wigrin was excused.
All right, thank you for roll call. We're going to go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone can please stand. All right, first order of business is the approval of our regular meeting minutes of October 26, 2023. Has everyone had a chance to review those minutes? Do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Acceptance of the meeting minutes from October 26th, approved. Number 2 on the list, do we have any public comments?
We do not have any public comments.
Thank you. New business. Item A is a review and recommendation for water service to an undivided parcel, parcel number 320-09-121. Do we have anyone from the staff to present? Thank you.
I'm Mike Garman. I'm the interim city engineer. I've got some material on this. The undivided parcel is for the expansion of the Zuni Park RV park that's off of Airway. Per our regulations, it says that if an undivided parcel wants to be served, wants water service, they essentially have to submit to the commission, and they have to provide certain engineering documents and a water system analysis showing they have sufficient pressure. All those documents have been provided to the engineering department. I've got, these are their plan set. This is the plan set. And the service is essentially for a hydrant that's going to go on the property. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. This is it right here. It's just it's going to be an 8-inch fire line for the hydrant. It's going to go in a public utility easement so that we have access. That's pretty much it. There's really no impact to the system since it's just going to be used for fire service. So our recommendation is go ahead and approve water service for this connection.
Do any of the commissioners have any questions for staff? So my only question is, RV park, obviously are going to be serving water to the people who reserve the spots. Is that going to be from a private well or?
They have service off of Airway. They've got a single meter there, and then they got a bunch of 2-inch service lines for all the RV spots. So everything that's on site is private. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any more discussion? Would anyone like to make a motion to approve or deny?
Make a motion to approve based upon their recommendation, city's recommendation.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. It was passed. All right, the second item on the list is the review and recommendation for an exception to the requirement to connect to sewer at parcel 322-31-035, 2743 Broken Arrow.
So I have a little site map for this one. As everyone knows, the utility regs say that if you're within 500 feet of an existing sewer line and are physically able to connect to it via gravity, that you're required to connect to the city sewer system. This parcel is right here, and it's about 490 feet to this corner from this manhole, or from this clean out here. So according to the regs, the parcel is required to connect to the city sewer. For that reason, staff recommends denial of the exception that the sewer extension be made to the extent where it's feasible to serve by gravity.
Do we have any commissioners who would like to have discussion, or you have questions for staff?
Mike, so you don't count the distance from the sewer main to the property line then? Because I see about 490, but then it looks like you have at least 10 feet before you get to from the sewer main where it would stop to the actual property line itself. Because the sewer main, the way it's measured, is still in the middle of the street there.
Well, the connection to the parcel we made via sewer tap, right? So I don't think we count the sewer tap. I think we just count the distance to the parcel.
Okay.
Yeah, normally, just to keep these things, everything's measured the same way. We measure from the clean out or the manhole and use the street center line for the distance measure. So.
Okay.
How much farther past his property line is he going to be required to run it?
I believe he has to go the full frontage of the property.
He doesn't have to turn down Broken Arrow at all?
No.
Okay. Do we know that distance from property to where it starts to the end of his property there at the corner of Broken Arrow and Pinto?
I don't for sure. I mean, this distance from the street to this edge of this parcel is a little over 200 feet, so.
Looks about the same.
Yeah, about the same.
So,
Oh,
no, go ahead.
so the area currently is all on septic though, this side,
Yeah, pretty much.
and from driving through, all these homes are probably over 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So how long do the normal septics last? Because for a house.
Probably not much longer than 20 years. So that's true that most of these parcels are already on septic. Most of these neighbors are. I think you'd have one person here that could connect. And obviously, we have a payback system where the applicant could receive payback from anyone else who connects to the sewer. They've got 20 years to do that.
Do you know how many homes are going to be able to potentially connect in the future? Because I mean, I know sometimes the elevation levels prevent that from happening. Like we've had it where everything on right at Broken Arrow per se, for example, couldn't connect ever because of the gravity. I mean, do we have any idea about that for the future? Is it going to service the whole area, be able to, or is it just going to be able to service a small few homes in that area, basically?
I actually don't have that information. I'm under the impression that most of this area is already built out.
Yeah, it's completely built.
Yeah,
I just know people have come before where we've had the issue of it'll have two homes be able to connect because the elevation prevented it in other areas.
right.
extending out.
They'd have to bug grade in order to connect. them.
Yeah, so they said, yeah, it's going to be like one or two homes that could possibly ever connect to it. That's why I was curious
Right.
if there's elevation issues as much.
I have a question. So in essence, your measurement goes to the nearest property corner, but what you're asking them to do is to extend it past their property or to the furthest property corner. So 490 feet, but you're asking them to put in 690 feet of sewer pipe.
Right, right. The rules say the criteria for connection is 500 feet or less, but then it also says you have to extend the full frontage of the property. So yeah, it would be an additional almost 200 feet probably.
Another item I wanted to ask is the parcel that is vacant on the corner of Luis and Diamond Spur. I believe that parcel came up in the past meeting. Do we know the outcome of that request for variance?
I think it was actually, the variance was actually accepted for that one.
So
lot.
that variance was approved for the house that was only 286 feet away from the sewer tap, so.
That's right.
Okay. Go ahead.
So if we were to deny this variance, would they have to tie in then and pay their proportionate share?
They would not.
They would not have to pay?
Yeah, I think
for the
they've probably
frontage?
already been approved for a septic permit, so.
Okay.
When the other houses around this need a new septic, what will their requirement be?
If they have a failed septic system, they would have to connect.
So
The
if,
regs say if they're within like 250 feet, they have to connect. So obviously, if there's a line out there and their septic system fails, they have to connect.
okay,
So if it's 250 feet, in essence,
2 houses.
just the 2 or 3 lots that are on the Luis and Diamond Spur would be within that range. So
Right.
if any one of those 3 failed, then that would
Right.
trigger that requirement.
Exactly.
Okay.
so it's 2 different rules with 2 different distances?
Well, right, if there's a rule that says specifically if you have a failed septic system, then if you're within 250 feet, you have to connect. If it's like a brand-new lot that you're gonna build on, then it's 500 feet.
So in essence, new construction versus established residency.
Right.
Right. So failed septic system's a little bit more stringent criteria.
And that's if they don't just do it on a weekend when no one's around.
Sure.
Granted, they
Which-
follow the permitting process.
Yeah.
Are there any more questions for staff?
No.
Are the, yeah, I was
Yeah.
getting to that. Yeah, I was going to ask if the applicants were in the room. Yeah, okay. Yeah, yes, please approach. We'd like to hear from you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you this afternoon. I am here in my capacity as a resident of the city of Kingman. We own this property and we also own a home in Kingman as well. That's where we reside. So just for the record, and I'm delighted by the questions that you're asking, we purchased this lot a long time ago, like 1996, before there was any sewer system in place. We truly intended to build on it. That's why we bought it. But every time we tried, something got in the way, life and other things, and we kept paying our property taxes and hanging on to it. We moved away from Kingman for about 15 years and kept it because we had hoped someday we would return to Kingman and build on it. Well, in the meantime, the area continued to develop, and as some of you noted, as you can see in the photo, it's practically built out. So here we are. We thought, okay, time is in place. We have plans. We started to ask questions, and we were informed that that sewer has come to the area, and we are within 480 or 90 feet from it. and that we have to connect to it. So I thought, wow, for your information, I am a civil engineer, and that's what I practice. So I thought about it, reached out to a local contractor and said, what will this cost to accomplish? And the answer was specific because he works in the area. And he said $85 per linear foot and $7,500 per manhole. I suspect it will take 2 of them. So at 480 feet, it would be over $50K. If we have to go 600 plus, you can imagine. I think at 690, the cost to connect to the sewer would exceed the value of the property today. So understanding that and respecting staff recommendation, but understanding that the 500 foot was set some times ago, they needed a goal line. But I don't know that there's anything special about it, 500 feet, and we're 10 feet inside of it. So, you know, in all honesty, it is a massive burden for one property owner to do. It's, you have to say, is it really fair? I mean, the neighbors are all on septic. It's fine. They've been there. We would have been there had we built when we bought the lot, but just again, life happens. So I guess I'm just here to point the obvious to you and to ask that this parcel be treated like all the neighboring parcels, because that's what would be fair, in all honesty. And, you know, as far as the payback agreement, seeing how the area is built and understanding that you only have to hook up to it if you're within 250 feet, and only when your septic fail, we may never see this money again, 20 years. And even then, is this purchasing or buyback or payback agreement, is it indexed? Are we going to get the value back of the money that we would be putting into it today? So I'm not asking for favors. I'm not asking for anything unreasonable, but I think the reasonable thing here to do is to, especially knowing that the parcel on the opposite corner that is half distance was granted a variance. I think it's only fair that a variance be granted here as well. So every property owner in this area feels like they've been treated the same. I respectfully ask of you to grant waiver here, just as has been granted to the other parcel that is closer, would have a less financial burden, and the rest of the homes in this area. Thank you.
Are you Mr. Elters? Are you Mr. Elters?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
No, that's okay.
introduce myself.
That's okay. Thank you, Mr. Elters. I appreciate you getting up and speaking for us.
Absolutely.
Before you sit down, does anyone have any questions for Mr. Elters? I know you touched on this briefly, but is this intended to be your home that you're going to live in, that you're going to reside in? This isn't like an investment property?
It's not an investment property. We own a home in Wallaco Ranch. We returned to the area, rented for a year, prepared the plans, handed them to 3 contractors, and asked for estimates. That was at the midway in 2021. You all know what was happening to construction prices. I had 3 estimates from contractors, local ones I trusted and known for years. And in all honesty, it was a lot more than what I expected and a lot more than the rest of the homes in the area. And I did not think it would be smart to put that much money into a home where your neighbors' homes are not quite there. So we thought we would wait. We continued to rent on Broken Arrow, just few lots. I thought I could watch the construction and the process. And then we were told the owner did not want to renew the lease. We had to move. So we scrambled like everybody else. We bought a new home in Wallach Ranch. We're happy to be there. It's a little smaller than we wanted. But I have a set of plans in the trunk of my car. I carried it around with me to waiting for the right time to build on it. We have no intention of building an investment property there. We'll either build to live there or we'll sell the property, but we're residents of Kingman and we're gonna make the right decision as far as building a home at the right time.
Great.
So I hope I answered your question, but that is the truth.
Yes, thank you. And I have one more question. You had mentioned the cost of what it would take to extend the sewer. Is that including the cost of the repairs to the road after it's done? Or is that just for the sewer line installation only?
No, that is my understanding from the contractor, that it's $85 per linear foot to trench, install the proper line size, and then backfill, compact, and then pave the street along with the manholes. That's $85 per linear foot.
Okay, so that's a finished
So
product.
it's a finished product in place.
Okay, all right, awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time and your help.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right, do we have any discussion? Do we have, anyone would like to make a motion to either approve or deny the variance?
I'd make a motion to approve the variance based upon the fact that the closed property was previously approved, for one. And second, it's not just 490 feet, it's almost 700 feet, which is gonna be double, well, 50% more in price just to do that. And it doesn't support it. So I make a motion that we approve the variance.
Okay, so I have a motion to approve the variance. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. All those in favor of the variance? Aye.
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 All opposed? The variance has been approved, and it's my understanding that this now goes to City Council for the final determination. I believe, okay. Great. All right, brings us to item number 4. Are there any announcements by commission members? Would anybody like to hear anything for the next meeting, any agenda items?
Oh, do you guys know if there's any of those annual reports that they come in and do coming up?
Any sewer, water,
Sewer, water
anything like
reports
that?
They put on the agenda from the city that they come in and talk about coming up?
I do not believe so, but
Okay.
Public Works, Rob Owen is here if he has any updates.
Commission members, I'm Rob Owen, I'm the Public Works Director. Generally, when we get closer, we're just now working our way through our capital improvements programming. So when we get closer, I believe we typically do a presentation kind of outlining what projects we have lined up. And I believe Tina usually does a presentation just going through all the different utility fund balances and kind of a look ahead of where they all sit and what the plan is going forward. So those generally be coming up here in the next few months.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anything else? All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do we
I'll
have
second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Meeting adjourned.